Welcome to anyone who's watching this. Basically we conduct partner webinars quite often just to tell our customers about all the work we're doing behind the scenes and the fantastic and market leading products that pointOne is integrating with. So Ivo, probably over to you to tell the guys a little bit more about Atoa and the work you're doing.
Cool. Yeah, thanks a lot for having me on. Firstly, Alex.
No worries.
Yeah, so I'll just take you through kind of I guess what Atoa is and what we're doing and a bit about the integration as well. Atoa stands for account to account, and what we mean by that is we basically allow businesses to take payments from their customers directly from the customer's UK bank app. So rather than paying on card, where there's like Visa and MasterCard as a middleman, the money literally flows directly from the consumer straight to the business.
Oh wow.
And by doing that, we're able to reduce their payment fees by up to 60%, and also allow them to be paid instantly, which is obviously great in a hospitality setting because cash flow is really important. So so that's basically what we're doing. And we've been obviously integrated with you guys with pointOne for I think about a year now. And customers who have sort of started using Atoa with the pointOne integration have been really enjoying it and benefiting from the savings. So I've got a few kind of I guess slides I can take you through and show you a little bit more about it.
Great.
So as I mentioned before, customers pay hospitality businesses using their bank app. We support all the kind of leading banks in the UK, like 99% of the banks are on there. I think in the UK, about 90% of adults have a UK bank app on their phone. So it's pretty much like we're covered, if you see what I mean. And in terms of I'll go a little bit more into the integration with pointOne, but it's a very seamless integration there.
Yeah, I suppose if we're removing those middlemen, the card processing companies and the actual card terminals, how does that, we'll come on to how that payment flow works, but that's quite interesting how it flows between the two.
Yeah, so essentially what we're doing is the technology is called open banking, and what that does is essentially we can just essentially kind of set up a transfer. So a customer scans a QR code or they get a link, but normally in a restaurant setting it'll be a QR code on the receipt. They scan the code, they click a link that comes up, it opens up a browser on their phone. They don't need an app or anything like that. And then they select their bank from a list, and essentially we then redirect them directly to their banking app. All the business's details are pre-filled, so they just confirm the payment. The business then gets that money instantly. So we're just bypassing all the middlemen in the payment process, and obviously that also allows us to allows the businesses to get that money instantly as well. So this is kind of like an image of one of our kiosks. So we work with Curve as well, obviously, which you guys know very well. So there's a few different ways. So most of our restaurants will take payments via QR codes on the receipts. So, there'll be a table of people or, and at the end of service, the waiter will just come up and give them a receipt, and there's a QR code on the bill. And the customer scans that, as I kind of mentioned before. All of the items that they've been ordering are then preloaded, so they can see it all there. They can add a tip there as well, and that's just all kind of that's where the integration works for pointOne, because we're just taking that information from the pointOne till to that receipt. This is how it looks on a kiosk. So we also have some clients or some businesses who have kiosks, and it's kind of a similar flow. It just comes up on the screen there. As I mentioned, we've like a lot of the businesses are kind of pointOne restaurants that are using us have seen an increase in tips, because it kind of like it prompts you to leave a tip. But so when you're paying it, you can select from 3 options. Often it's percentages, and it kind of prompts you that way. We don't rope businesses into contracts. We don't have any hidden fees as well. So any like business owner who might be listening to this, if you've ever seen a card statement, there's just like so many hidden fees on there, like PCI fees, authorization fees, like refund fees, and they'll do anything they can to kind of like basically put as many fees onto the business as possible. So we're kind of trying to do the opposite. Our kind of statements are really transparent. It's very clear. It's literally just a per transaction fee, and also we don't rope them into contracts as well.
And I suppose that goes with your tagline for the business, isn't it? It's pay the fair way, and I think everything you do is a big focus on, fairness for businesses and transparency. I mean, there's a reason MasterCard and Visa are as big as they are. So yeah, it's there's a lot of value you guys are adding here, I can see.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's literally what we're trying to do. It's more, and also just kind of educate people and businesses on the reality of like how payments look for businesses, especially with cards.
Yeah.
So we're just giving like an alternative where you can obviously save a lot on fees, have much more transparency, and get the money instantly. And in other parts of the world, this is I guess the dominant way to pay, especially in like parts of Asia. Even like in Japan, my brother's in Japan at the moment, and he told me like you can't pay with card pretty much anywhere where he's going, because they all just take payments this way via open banking. So yeah, I mean, it's like a lot of people are kind of waking up to the fact that you can pay in a different way and basically just save on fees.
And you've mentioned obviously businesses saving like quite a lot of money per month who've used Atoa. What sort of percentages are they saving as opposed to traditional? Do you have any figures on that, or?
Yeah, I mean, so typically they'll save around 60% on the debit card payments. So debit card payments makes up about 80% of all card payments in the UK. So if a business is currently paying, say, like £1,000 a month on card, 800 of that will be debit. So we'll often be able to save them around £400 or £500 per month, which for a restaurant is like single site restaurant is actually really, really decent, especially with like the margins and cash flow. So the savings are significant, and you can check out our Trustpilot and you'll see people a lot of business owners will be talking about that. It's not like it's like a proper sum that we are saving these businesses.
And sort of, do you think as time goes on, as obviously you mentioned sort of a lot of countries in Asia, for example, they're quite forward thinking, always in the use of technology and payments. I mean, I've certainly used open banking. I think when I pay my credit card off each month, I pay with banking app, and it's a lot easier than me faffing around for my card details and having to manually enter it in. So I can see the value. I mean, I probably think as time goes on, that's only going to increase in the amount of people who are, aware of open banking and what it can do. It's just that awareness. Oh, I can pay via bank now. So yeah, hopefully that'll just increase really.
100%. I think a lot of it for us, it comes kind of through the businesses. So what we say to a business owner is like, or just a business operations will just say, look, if you just tell your customers, hey, do you mind scanning this QR code, or do you mind if I just send you this payment link, that they won't mind, and it's all secure as well, and it's a really easy flow for them. Obviously it's saving the businesses money, they're getting it instantly, so it's great for them. In terms of customers, it's the technology is improving literally month on month. So I don't think Atoa would be able to exist as it does now, say like 5 years ago, when open banking was kind of starting to kick off, because the APIs that the banks are producing have just improved a lot over the last few years. So yeah, going back to your question, I think it's definitely gonna be like a huge uptake in the next few years. And I think like a lot of people are used to scanning QR codes now, whether that's to order at a table or leave a review or whatever it might be. It's a very common practice these days. So yeah, I do see it blowing up for sure.
Good.
Yeah, so just going into this, so obviously I mentioned the receipt flow. So this is like a bill for £12. So if a customer was to scan that, it would just come up to a browser. We also have a lot of like the hospitality businesses that use Atoa will take deposits. So this is example, like if it's for a table booking and you might take half of it, or if it's for an event. So you can send a payment link that way, and you can track all your payment links as well, whether they're paid, unpaid. You can send reminders. So we've kind of built like I guess it's like a sort of solution where it's just really happy for them, and it improves no-shows, and obviously just allows them to get the money kind of in the bank, so they can confirm these events. So that's something that we've worked really hard on to build, like the web dashboard in the last, we've been working on it for like the last year, but we released it, I think 3 months ago, and it's been really, really popular.
Oh wow, that's really cool. I mean, It's great. I think like anything, I think if you the more ways you can potentially put it out there for people to adopt, like you say, kiosk, printing it onto a receipt, even putting it on a media screen somewhere, you're more likely to get that uptake, and obviously the businesses will see the benefit from that. And I think like you say, you said previously when we were talking about the adoption levels of open banking, like 5 years ago, I think people weren't aware of it, but now the more companies who are using it, becomes more commonplace. But what would you say would be the best way for a venue to incentivize customers? Do you feel it's that education piece, like by doing this you're helping the business? Do you think that's like something that a business would try and do? Or
Yeah, it's a really good question. So there's a few different ways. I mean, some businesses will just be like, hey, do you mind scanning this? It saves us some fees. And most people, when they're in a restaurant, are pretty happy to do that. But then, to be honest with you, like a lot of our business owners or businesses in general, it's just like, if you go into a restaurant or a shop or whatever, and you've either like you've had some food, you've had some coffee, or maybe you're buying something from them. If the business just says to you, hey, listen, can you just scan this code to pay? It's like that's just kind of like how we do it here, right? And it's like we don't see much kickback on that at all. Now,
okay.
obviously, there might be some cases where the customer doesn't have a bank app on their phone. It's very rare, or potentially they really want to pay with credit card. Fine, you've still got a card machine as a backup. And we're not. That's why we don't rape you a contract or like charge these high monthly fees. But essentially, like I think a lot of the businesses that I've kind of worked with, I think they literally just say to them, hey, listen, just scan this and you connect to your bank app and you can pay. And it's simple as that. And I think, as I kind of mentioned earlier, we're at a point now where people are quite used to scanning, and like we don't seem to be getting much kickback at all, really.
Like you say, there's plenty of products out there that like you say, you scan the QR code to leave a review, you can do it to leave a tip now. There lots of companies out there doing that. I know the pandemic's accelerated the adoption of QR codes again. It went through a bit of a renaissance, but there's QR codes in so many applications in the hospitality world. So yeah, like you said, and people are probably quite curious as well to see what's this about. And I think if you can pull on their heartstrings a little bit and say, look, you're saving us money and helping us maybe guarantee our future by choosing this, then
Exactly.
everyone wins, really, don't they? So
yeah, and it's so easy as well. I mean, literally, I think I've got here it is. Yeah, so if you're a customer, it's literally, so you scan the QR code and then it just takes you to a browser. So if you're a customer, you don't need to download an app or anything like that. I mean, you mentioned the pandemic. I mean, the amount of times that when we were all kind of ordering from table, you'd have to fill out your details, like
oh god,
email and your mobile. You'd be doing it like 10 times, then you'd have like all these emails from these companies. We're not doing any of that. Like literally, you just opens a browser, you select your bank. It's all really bright and like easy to look at, and then it just takes you to your app. You confirm it, you get a receipt there, and you're helping the business essentially. Like it's really no skin off your back. Also, I actually mentioned this the other day. When I was doing that podcast. I think in a hospitality setting, actually like Atoa is a better way to pay for a customer than card, because like when you've kind of gotten to the end of your your meal and you're kind of like ready to pay, you got the receipt right there, so you just scan it and you can just make the payment, you can split the bill, like you can just do that right there, and it's like actually much easier than like getting a card machine out, waiting for it. So personally, I've paid like that quite a few times at restaurants, and I actually prefer it.
Yeah, I think if you're on like a lunch, for example, or you've got somewhere to be, or you've like maybe you've gone to a theatre or gone to the cinema or a football game, we need to, it's a busy restaurant, we need to get out of here. You're looking around, there's only 2 PDQ card machines, there's multiple people queuing at the till. And for a lot of venues, table turnaround is critical, like you say. So, if it boosts that and, and also provides an easy route for tipping and bill splitting, it can only be really positive from the end user perspective, really. Yeah, I'm struggling to see any downsides with it really at the moment, Ivo.
Yeah, I think look, there aren't really many downsides from a business point of view. I think again, like we can't currently like fully replace a card machine because you can't take credit cards via Atoa. So like I think for a restaurant, some might if they're not taking credit cards anyway, but we wouldn't sort of position ourselves as a full replacement right now.
Mm.
But generally, like, yeah, I mean, again, if you check out our Trustpilot, like, you can probably get an idea that, like, there isn't much downsides.
Yeah.
You know, we're saving businesses money, we're allowing them to get paid instantly. And I can't really see any as well. I think if I was a business owner, I'd definitely be using it, but I guess I'm probably biased.
Yeah, I think so, probably somewhat. Yeah, but I think at the same point, it's about providing solutions there to cater for all demographics. You know, a lot of the work we do with clients, I always say, you know, provide as many options. You know, if they want to be able to order at a till or order at a kiosk or order in person or from a mobile device, provide that option, because not everyone wants to be put in one pigeonhole. So yeah, always having maybe a PDQ as a backup for those people who still want to take traditional card payments. You know, I think it's quite surprising actually. I had my own reservations about QR code payments and stuff in the past, especially with like my parents' generation, slightly older demographic. But really, like you say, the pandemic's accelerated that adoption of tech, and they know it's their banking app, for example. So yeah, and there we go. There's your Trustpilot reviews, isn't it? Wow.
Yeah, well, we put that one there, which is obviously one of your customers. It's a sort of cabaret restaurants are in Soho, which is a really cool place for anyone in London. So I've been there a few times, and yeah, he's been loving it, and he's been using it for probably like 8 or 9 months now. And yeah, he's saving a ton of money, and you know, they've really adopted it, and they absolutely love it. And yeah, before we had like QR on table, we still can offer that flow. But now he's kind of using both. So people have Atoa QRs on their table, they want to pay that way, and then he's also got the receipt. So yeah.
And I think like the fact that it just magically cashes off on our side as well doesn't mean that then someone's having to rush back to the till to, you know,
exactly,
to reconcile that. And it's like you say, it seems as well it saves a lot of time. So it's not just the fee element; it's like that table turnaround time, isn't it? You know, which is critical for a lot of venues nowadays, isn't it? Trying to, you know.
100%. Yeah, your team's been amazing, like your engineering team, to get the integration going. It's been so great to work with you guys. And also, yeah, it's really another point to make is that you guys have waived the kind of API fees for the integration. So it's really cool of you guys to do that, which just helps businesses to kind of like know that they don't have to kind of pay anything to get the integration live.
I think this is what struck. I mean, we're always trying to look at, you know, what's the next technology suite out there that, you know, pointOne wants to integrate with, you know, and can provide value for our customers, because ultimately that's what it's all about, is you know, providing that value. And I think when you originally spoke to Nick, our CTO, we'd been looking and we've been talking to other open banking products out there. But they weren't quite like, well, they weren't where you guys were, and I think we were that impressed, you know, in everything. And I'd say from our side as well, you know, I know we've increased the level of integration and how things work across, you know, our sister company, who's now merged with pointOne, Curve, for our kiosk customers, as well as, you know, putting the QR code on the receipt now. Because again, you touched on it earlier, it's all about removing that friction. You know, in the pandemic, you'd have to give your mother's maiden name and your blood type and download this app and that, and you just thought, well, and I think a lot of people got fed up with that, really. So I think, you know, when they scan a QR code, they don't have to download anything. It you know, it makes it hassle free, really, and that's the main thing.
Yeah, 100%. And it's getting better as well. Like, it's even in the last year, like the flows have improved, they've gotten quicker. You know, the banks are improving, you know, providing the APIs, and it's becoming a stronger kind of payment flow for the customer. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely we're in a really positive place with the whole, I guess, the whole technology at the moment.
So you mentioned as well that we've waived any API fees. So for actually connecting it to pointOne, we've waived that. But yeah, you know, your trial period as well. So you guys are, you know, helping out customers now for 14 days of free payments. So no fees for 14. Wow.
Yeah, 100%. So we offer 2-week free trial. So for pointOne customers, you know, the first 2 weeks there's no transaction fees at all. So we just want to give them like a flavor of it and make sure it works for their business. And that's pretty much it. And also, like, registration is like so easy. We built it to be really simple. So literally you just have to fill in some business details. and then we just need a bit of information to pass on to you guys to pointOne, and then we just can get the integration live. So yeah, I mean, I think the free trial, I think, is really, I really like the fact that we're doing that, because it just gives us, we're obviously confident in the product, and also it just means that like a business owner can just have a feel for it before paying for anything, essentially.
And like you say, I think you probably got a 14-day period is enough to see the value of it, you know, table turnaround time, but also so no fees from pointOne, 14 days to give it a whirl.
Yeah,
60% potentially, you know, savings in you know, your fees. I think we might have a busy couple of weeks ahead, and there's no kit to buy, there's nothing you need at all, or anything like that at all. There's just
no, that's it. And that's, I'm glad you asked that, actually, because that's part of the reason that we can offer much lower fees, that we're not a hardware provider.
Yeah.
So you don't need to buy any kit. We'll send you like an information pack, either in the post or maybe we can bring it. But yeah, you'll receive one of those with some like table tents as well, just like explaining to customers. We wouldn't expect you to kind of put them everywhere, but it's just something that you might want to have. So yeah, I mean, everything's kind of handled from our side, and obviously from your side at pointOne. And another thing that I think we really try to do, and we're quite proud of, is like our customer support is really, really strong. So like we make sure that like fully set up, and we're very transparent about everything. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty much it. It's quite easy to get set up, and then obviously you've got a 2-week free trial. So don't really know.
And you what I would say to anyone who is like interested, or who does take out the 14-day free trial and decides to go ahead, something I've always seen is even having a QR code, you know, wherever it is in the venue. And you mentioned table tents. I think signposting to your customers is super important to make sure you're getting that benefit. And, you know, I think even for staff members to say, you know, actually, you know, I'd recommend using this as a payment method. It's a lot quicker. It hits our bank, saves us those fees. But from a staff member's perspective, if they're invested by getting more tips out of that, then surely it's in their interest to really push customers towards a solution. Yeah, make sure they're using it. So yeah, increased tips and, you know, less fees sounds like a winner for everyone.
Yeah, 100%.
Cool. Well, yeah, Ivo, thanks very much for your time today, and thank you for you and your team for, you know, integrating with pointOne. You know, obviously our customers are already seeing the benefits, which is great. You know, and for anyone who, you know, obviously get in contact with Ivo, scan the QR codes, or give him a quick call, or get in contact with us at pointOne, and we can refer you through to Atoa and get everything up and running. But yeah, great, Ivo, thanks very much again.
Thanks so much, Alex. It's been great. Thanks for having me on.